Hi everyone, and welcome to The Sleepy Scientist. I'm really happy you're here. Tonight, we're going to go on a calm and quiet trip to learn something amazing. So get comfy, take a deep breath, and let's enjoy this peaceful science story together. Before we start, tell me in the comments, where are you watching from and what time is it for you right now? If you like relaxing science videos, don't forget to tap the like button. Now let's begin. Far, far away from where any bird sings or river flows, in a sky without stars and a silence too deep to carry wind, something ancient moves, slowly, patiently. It is a thing not born of light, but of the absence of it. A black hole drifting through the velvet dark like a sleeping giant. And not far from it, in the language of galaxies, another begins to stir. Two black holes, wandering alone through the folds of space-time. Each one once a star burned out long ago, each one a memory of fire, collapsed into a hunger so perfect it swallowed even the light that once danced on its surface. They move not like beasts, but like shadows. They do not rush, they do not scream, they wait. Pulled not by will but by gravity, the oldest whisper in the universe, the quiet curve that bends all things toward each other. For millions of years they drift closer. Not directly, no, they spiral, caught in each other's invisible breath. The fabric of the cosmos warps gently between them. Time slows, space curls, the universe hums. Imagine watching them from a distance so vast you can't feel its porcil. You'd see nothing at first, only darkness touching darkness. But if you had the right eyes, not of flesh, but of wave and field, you'd sense the dance, a circling, a drawing in. This is no sudden affair. It is the courtship of eternity. Two bodies collapsing not just toward each other, but into each other. They are not like people, yet in their motion is a strange kind of longing, a promise made in gravity, a pull that says, "Come closer, even if it takes 1 billion years." And the universe waits with them. No light escapes their edges. Their event horizons and the final soft walls of their being are not places but boundaries, like the edges of dreams. Once crossed, there is no return. Even time gives way there. Still, in the space around them, their presence is loud. Stars veer off course, gas spirals in, light bends. They do not speak, but everything listens. As they draw near, the sky between them tightens. Their orbits shrink. Spirals become spirals within spirals. The dance becomes tighter, faster, quieter. The energy of their movement seeps into the space around them. Ripples form, invisible waves of stretched and compressed space-time. These waves move outward, travelling across galaxies like whispers on a cosmic sea. We call them gravitational waves, and they carry with them a story that no eye can see, only feel. Once, Earth felt them, not long ago in human time. Instruments like LIGO, delicate arms of laser and silence, sensed the tremble of space. It was the moment two black holes, each the size of cities yet heavier than stars, became one. The signal was soft, a chirp, a blip, but inside it was the memory of a billion-year dance. How strange that something so massive, so mysterious, could end with a whisper. Back in the sky where no stars shine, our two dancers still move. They have not yet touched. They are still circling, pulling, drawing in. Around them, gas shimmers with invisible heat. Dust forms discs like rings on forgotten fingers. Sometimes faint light flares, not from them, but from what surrounds them. A quiet crown of chaos. And always there is gravity, not as a force, but as a yearning, as if the universe itself aches for their union. And still, they wait, drifting closer, every million years a little tighter, every orbit a little faster, every moment more inevitable. No one can say exactly when they will merge, but when they do, it won't be loud. There will be no explosion, no blaze of glory, just a folding, a swallowing, a single dark heart where there were once two, And all around them silence, not emptiness, but a full silence, the kind that comes after something sacred. You might wonder what remains. Do they forget themselves when they combine? Does the first black hole still exist inside the second? Do they become more or less? Science says mass adds mass, energy adds energy. The resulting black hole is larger, stronger, more curved. But the deeper truth is soft and quiet. They become one. Not like bricks in a wall, but like drops of rain in the ocean. And then the dance ends. Or maybe it begins again. Let's drift deeper now into the mystery that follows the steps of this dark ballet. As the two black holes continue their ancient spiral, the space around them begins to change. What was once a slow, wide orbit becomes a narrowing loop. Their motions become so tightly knit, so closely bound, that the universe itself seems to stretch to accommodate them. Each moment of their motion releases energy, but not light, not heat. Instead, they sing in gravity, gentle waves that ripple across the cosmos. These waves are not felt like wind on the skin or sound in the ears. They are not seen like colours in a sunset or stars in the sky. They are felt in time, a soft stutter in the beat of the universe. A barely there tug that tells the story of two giants becoming one. Scientists on Earth, curious and quiet, spent years building instruments to hear these waves. LIGO, Virgo, long arms of stillness and mirror. They waited, listening to silence. Then one day they heard it. A wave, a moment, the last breath of a billion-year orbit. A song played not on strings or wind, but on the fabric of space itself. And it said, "They are here, they have merged, they are one." But what truly happens in that moment? What do we know and what do we only imagine? As the black holes approach their final embrace, their event horizons, those quiet edges of no return, begin to touch. Like two ink blots spreading toward each other, they merge not with violence but with certainty. Inside their singularities, points of infinite density, come together in a place we cannot see, a place where time may not move forward anymore, at least not in the way we understand. To us, it looks like a deepening shadow, a single sphere where once there were two, but inside things are stranger. Einstein's equations grow wild. Our understanding falters. We can describe the math, but the experience escapes us. And maybe that's okay. Maybe it is meant to be a secret. Around the new black hole, the space still shudders. For a time it rings, like a bell after it's been struck. These faint trembles in space-time continue for a moment, then fade. What's left is calm, a stillness deeper than silence. A sky where gravity rules, but says nothing. And yet, even after the merger, echoes remain. The surrounding space remembers. Light, long delayed, may still be bent by their passing. Clouds of gas stirred by their motion still burn softly in far-off X-rays. The universe forgets nothing. It only stores its memories in harder places. It's strange to think that such colossal events are, in some ways, the quietest. No sound escapes, no flame bursts forth, and yet they change the universe. They reshape galaxies, they seed new mysteries. Some scientists believe that when black holes merge, they may kick each other, ever so slightly, and send the new, larger black hole drifting, like a ripple pushing a boat. This recoil can launch the black hole across space, wandering alone once more. Others think these merged black holes may form the seeds of supermassive black holes, the kinds that sit in the centre of galaxies, including our own. You can almost feel it now, this idea, this thought, that something so dark and so hidden can shape the stars around it, that even in silence there is power, that even in the dark there is motion, and that motion becomes meaning. Let's pause and look outward for a moment. The universe is vast. Black holes are not rare. Everywhere, in every corner of sky too dim to notice, there are pairs circling, waiting, drifting toward each other. Time for them is wide and slow. Some will not meet for another billion years, others already have, long ago, and we are only just now receiving their echo. It's a reminder, space is not still. It breathes, it pulses, and hidden in its folds are unions, gentle and grand, taking place beyond what we can see. We live in a universe that folds in on itself, that brings things together slowly, softly, and with purpose. And as the black holes merge, as they become one, there is a lesson in their motion. Not in their size or their mass, but in their patience. They did not rush. They did not break apart. They circled quietly through time and space until at last they were one. And even then, they did not boast. They simply became. What remains is not the noise, not the flash, but the feeling. The knowing that something immense happened quietly, that the universe changed its shape because the two things followed their gravity home. And perhaps that's what gravity is, at its heart. Not a force, but a promise, a longing sewn into the universe itself, a soft calling that says, you belong together, come closer, even if it takes forever. Now imagine, if you will, the moment after. Not the flash, but the fade. Not the merging, but the afterglow. There is no light, no heat, but in that darkness is a kind of peace, a kind of knowing, the kind that comes only after the final step of a long, slow dance, and in the quiet sky another pair begins their circle. Another story begins. Now we drift toward the soft ending of this cosmic story. The dance has ended, and yet the echoes remain. Where there were once two black holes, there is now one, deeper, heavier, more complete. But in this stillness there is no emptiness. There is only transformation. The universe does not rush to move on. It lingers. Around the merged black hole, the space is quiet. Not the quiet of nothing, but the quiet of something immense that has settled. Like the deep calm after a storm, or the soft hush of snowfall after wind. The new black hole spins gently, the shape of its motion changed by the embrace that formed it. Its surface, if it could be called that, is round and smooth, wrapped in an event horizon that now holds the memory of two hearts, not one. Scientists call this the ring-down phase. It's the moment after the merger, when the new black hole settles into its final shape. Like a struck bell returning to stillness, the curves of space-time tremble for a time, then smooth themselves out. The gravitational waves become smaller, fainter, until even the most sensitive instruments can no longer hear them. But the black hole remains. It is not gone. It is not broken. It is simply whole. And so we wonder, what does it mean to become one? Can something as vast and powerful as a black hole merge and still remain itself? Or does it lose what it was to become something more? In the world we know, when two things become one, something changes. Water joins water, and the waves ripple out in new patterns. Winds meet in the sky and form storms. People come together and make memories, families, stories. So perhaps black holes too carry with them a memory, not in thought or feeling, but in shape and energy. The merged black hole is shaped by the past. Its spin tells the story. Its mass sings a history. In its center lives the memory of a billion-year courtship and a moment of bespoken union. Let's flow even farther now beyond the black hole itself, into the regions of thought and curiosity, into the places where science leans on metaphor, where imagination gently holds the unknown. There are those who wonder if black holes are not just ends but beginnings, that perhaps deep inside, past the event horizon, past the singularity, past all the things we cannot see, there is something else. A doorway, a new space, a place where the laws of our world soften and new ones begin. These ideas live on the edge of science, where equations stretch and questions bloom. We do not know if they are true, but we do know this. Black holes change space. They bend time. They stretch what we believe is possible. And when they merge, they do not destroy each other. They become more. That in itself is beautiful. And even though we cannot see inside, we can still feel what happened. Not in our skin, but in our knowing, because the waves they created still pass through us. Right now, this very moment, our planet is quietly stretching and squeezing just a little as ancient gravitational waves wash through us. They are so gentle, so small that we cannot feel them, but they are there, reminders that faraway giants once moved together, once became one, once rippled the fabric of everything. Even the Earth's crust listens and does not speak of it. Some say we are made of stars, of the atoms forged in ancient suns, and that is true. But perhaps, in some quiet way, we are also shaped by black holes, by their gravity, by their story, by their silence. After all, the galaxies we live in spin around them. The stars we see move in orbits they create. Without them, the universe would not be as it is. Without them, there would be no shape to the sky. So even though they are dark, even though they hide from sight, they are not absent. They are everywhere, and their merging, their slow, beautiful joining, is not just a moment in space. It is a reminder that even in the vastness of everything, things come together, not through force, but through quiet attraction, through time, through patience, through motion so slow we mistake it for stillness. And perhaps the lesson is this: not all power is loud, not all unions are sudden. Sometimes the greatest changes come softly, without flash or fire. Sometimes the universe changes because two things move toward each other with quiet purpose over ages, until they could not remain apart. And now they are one. We leave this story not with an end, but with a continuation. For out there, in the deep black sea of the cosmos, another pair is circling. Another dance has begun. Somewhere two more dark hearts are drawing near. And one day, maybe tomorrow, maybe a billion years from now, the universe will tremble again. Not in fear, but in awe. And we will listen, and we will know, and we will remember that even in the dark there is motion, even in silence there is love, and that the universe always moves toward union. In the wide silence of the universe there are songs too low to hear, too deep to echo, too slow to ever end. These songs do not pass through air, and they carry no melody as we know it. They move instead through the very skin of reality, the fabric of space and time. They are the waves of gravity, and when they ripple, the stars listen. The galaxies pause, the dark itself stirs. Long ago, before Earth had mountains, before the first rivers carved their way across stone, two black holes danced in a far-off corner of the cosmos. They spiraled around each other with patient grace. With each orbit, they disturbed the space around them, sending out waves, not of sound, but of structure. These waves stretched and squeezed the invisible threads that hold the universe together. These are gravitational waves, not made of particles, not carried by light. They are made of warping, a movement of the stage, not the players. And unlike anything else we know, they pass through all things without resistance. Through stars, through planets, through us. Gently, constantly, quietly. You would never feel it. Not in your bones, not in your skin. But even now your body expands and contracts by less than the width of an atom as an ancient gravitational wave moves through the Earth. This is not myth. It is not dream. It is a truth so soft, so deep, that it took us 100 years to learn how to hear it. The first time humanity caught this song was in 2015. Two long tunnels of kids, one in Washington, one in Louisiana, stood waiting. Their arms were 4 kilometers long, shaped like perfect L's, each holding a laser beam as still as thought. They watched the light bounce back and forth, waiting for a tremble too small for any eye to see. And then, one September day, it came, a slight shifting, a whisper in space-time. The two lasers changed rhythm just barely, and in that change was a story from 1.3 billion years ago. Two black holes had collided, and across the darkness of time their final embrace had sent a wave of gravity, a note in the great cosmic song that finally reached us. We called it Jidu Fimo 914, but that name cannot capture the softness of its meaning. It was a moment of knowing that the universe speaks not in light but in rhythm, that the great forces that shape everything can sometimes be quiet enough to go unnoticed. These waves bend stars, not because they are strong, but because they're constant. They pass through galaxies and leave no mark, and yet they hold the story of everything that ever moved with gravity. When two neutron stars spiral into each other, they send waves too. When the early universe expanded in its first breath, it may have sung in gravitational waves that still echo in the background of all existence. Imagine the sky not just as a painting of light, but as a sea with invisible tides. The stars are like boats riding the slowest currents. And every now and then, a ripple arrives from far away, from a collision, a fall, a fold in space, and the tide swells just slightly. It is in this rising and falling that the universe remembers, and it is here in this hidden music that we discover a truth both scientific and poetic, that nothing moves without echo, that every step taken in space leaves a mark not behind but ahead, carried forward on the waves that bend the stars. It's tempting to ask where these waves go. Do they fade? Do they ever end? But the answer is soft and uncertain. They spread, weaken, stretch. They pass through galaxies without stopping. They do not bounce or shatter. They do not get caught. They keep going, slower and fainter, forever. They are not like sound which dies in silence. They are not like light which dims in distance. They are more like breath, invisible, essential, carried by everything. They do not ask to be noticed, but they shape what is. And so we look for them, with great machines built from stillness. We listen not with ears, but with light and math. We wait, and when the pattern comes as a change, a tremble, we open the story. We read the past through the rhythm. We hear the love story of two black holes, the crash of two stars, the whisper of the beginning. It is a kind of astronomy that does not depend on sight. It does not need a telescope. It is felt, not seen. And in this way, it is more like memory, more like emotion. It reaches deeper. This is why scientists have begun to speak of gravitational wave astronomy, a new way of knowing the sky, one where the silence is not empty, but filled with movement, a way to hear what was always there, too slow, too soft, too sacred. And what of us, listening from our small corner of a pale blue world? We are part of this story too. Our bodies are made of atoms once pulled by gravity into stars. Our planet formed from the debris left behind after old collisions. Our own hearts beat in rhythm. And while the waves that pass through us leave no scar, they do leave a mark. A reminder that we are not apart from the universe, but inside it. We live inside a song that bends the stars, and when we listen with care and quiet, we begin to hear our place within it. Let's drift deeper into the quiet waves that echo through the fabric of the universe. Now that we have heard their song, we begin to feel its meaning. These gravitational waves, born from the union of massive bodies, do not pass by unnoticed, at least not by space itself. They change everything they touch, gently, endlessly, even if no one is looking. And they hold within them not just the memory of collisions, but the ancient breath of the universe itself. It begins with a ripple, a stretching of distance so slight that it would take 100 billion ripples to change the length of a single strand of hair, and yet that ripple carries with it the tail of two neutron stars, locked in an orbit so tight their surfaces nearly touch. For millions of years they circled, losing energy, drawing closer, until one day they merged. And from that final embrace came more than waves. It came light, heavy elements, and a song that hummed across the galaxies. When scientists heard it in 2017, the gravitational wave known as GW7D0817, they saw not only the wave, but a flash of light, a kilonova, a burst of colour and radiation where gold and platinum were born. The same gold that now rests on fingers, on spacecraft, in the hearts of stars, all from a single cosmic collision, all from the quiet work of gravity. It tells us something beautiful, that the universe does not need to shout to create wonders. It does not rush. It folds its stories into ripples, into waves that pass unnoticed through the dark, until the day we learn how to feel them. And the more we listen, the more we hear. The universe becomes not just a place but a pulse, a soft, vast rhythm. We begin to imagine the early universe just moments after the Big Bang, when all space was dense and hot and expanding. Some believe that even then, in those first few seconds, gravitational waves were born. These primordial waves would be older than the first stars, older than light itself, still travelling, still stretching, still carrying the sound of the beginning. To catch them, we need something even larger than LIGO. We look to the sky. We listen through the timing of pulsars, spinning neutron stars that beam light like a lighthouse in perfect rhythm. If a gravitational wave passes between us and them, their timing changes, just slightly. Over years, these tiny changes reveal something vast, a deep background hum of the universe, as if space itself is sighing. This was confirmed in 2023. A team of scientists studying pulsars noticed the same slow rhythm, the same tiny drifts. They called it the gravitational wave background, the quiet chorus of all the waves from black holes, neutron stars and cosmic events too far to see. It means the sky is not silent. It never was. It only waited for us to notice. And what do we do with this knowing? We begin to understand that the universe is not only visible, it is also touchable, in a sense beyond fingers. It is alive with patterns, with quiet energy. It hums, it rings, it flows. And each wave, each tremble carries truth. Not just about stars and space, but about the nature of change. Because gravitational waves do not destroy. They reveal. They pass through all things without breaking them, like memory, like time. They are proof that great change can be soft, that even the most powerful forces can move gently. There is wonder in that, in knowing that we are inside a cosmos that sings, that while the sky seems still, it is always dancing, not with light, but with motion, with curves, with the slow bending music of mass and time. And so we look again at our instruments, at the beams of laser light bouncing back and forth across empty tunnels, at mirrors suspended by threads, isolated from every tremor, at data that shows a pattern, the tiniest shift, and tells us that something unimaginable has happened, far away long ago. It makes us feel small, but not in fear, in awe, because to feel a wave from a black hole merger 1 billion light years away is to be touched by something so old, so distant, that it reshapes our place in the cosmos. It tells us we are part of the story, that our world is not on the outside looking in, it is inside the music. Even now as you sit still, waves from distant galaxies are passing through you. They don't stop. They don't ask permission. They're gentle, yes, but they are real as wind, as real as time, and so the stars bend. Not with resistance, but with grace. They move not because of force, but because they were always meant to respond. Gravity is not a chain. It is a thread. It connects. It pulls things together. And when it moves everything. This is why we listen. This is why we wait. Because every wave is a message. Every tremor is a truth. Every tiny shift in space-time tells us that somewhere, far beyond, two giants moved together, and the universe noticed. We too notice, not with our skin, not with our eyes, but with the quiet parts of knowing, with the stillness that listens, with the patience that wonders, and in that listening we become more than watchers. We become part of the rhythm, part of the song that bends the stars. Now the song fades, but it does not end. It becomes quieter, lower, more spread out across the sky. The waves that once moved mountains of light now drift, echoing into deeper silence. But even this quiet is not empty. It holds within it the afterglow of motion, of merging, of memory. It is here in this fading rhythm that the universe tells one of its gentlest truths, that even in the smallest trembling there is connection. The gravitational waves from faraway collisions continue to pass through the Earth, through our oceans, through the skin of our atmosphere. They leave no scar, no mark that the eye can trace. Yet their presence shapes our understanding. They tell us that we are not separated from the vast events of the cosmos, but bathed in their echoes. Like trees stirred by a wind from a storm we cannot see, we move softly in their wake. The black holes and neutron stars that cause these waves are gone from our view, folded into singularities or swallowed by darkness, but the waves remain. They are messages from the past, from unions that ended long before Earth bloomed with life. And still they arrive, not to disturb us, but to remind us that the universe is not still, only slow, not spent, only patient. Even now, as more detectors rise across the world and soon in space, we prepare to listen better. We refine our ears not for thunder, but for whispers. In the near future, the LISA mission, a space-based observatory with arms stretching millions of kilometers apart, will launch into orbit, gently floating above the Earth, waiting to hear the longest waves. These are the waves from supermassive black holes, from objects so vast that their dance takes centuries, from mergers that warp galaxies. And through them we may one day hear even fainter notes, the quiet footsteps of hypothetical cosmic strings, or the breath of inflation from the first moments after the Big Bang. All of it hidden in the hush, all of it recorded not in light but in the shape of space. The future of astronomy then is not only in what we see, it is in what we feel, through the delicate trembling of reality itself, as if the cosmos has placed its hand gently on our shoulder, and we are only just beginning to turn and look. This is the gift of gravitational waves. They expand our senses. They teach us that the sky has more to say than light alone can carry. They stretch the idea of a story beyond sight and sound, into motion, into rhythm. And they teach us perhaps a deeper way of listening, not only to the universe but to each other. For if black holes, silent and invisible, can send out messages that touch us across billions of years, perhaps we too leave traces in the world, even when we do not speak. Perhaps our own movements, soft, quiet, filled with purpose, ripple farther than we know. Imagine that every action, every choice is like a wave in space-time. That the kindness you show, the stillness you hold, the way you move through the world sends out a song of its own. Not loud, not noticed by many, but real, and part of the larger rhythm of things. The song that bends the stars is not made of grand explosions or shouts. It is made of union, of motion, of patience, two massive objects drawn by gravity, circling for millions of years before finally becoming one. That's all it takes to send out a wave that changes everything. And now we know it. We've heard it. We've felt the universe move. In this knowing there is peace. Not all mysteries are lost in shadow. Some wait gently to be noticed. Some hum just beneath the surface of stillness. And when we learn how to listen, not with the ears, but with wonder, they open to us. So let us imagine that above us the stars continue to bend. That far away, in corners of the cosmos too distant to dream, another black hole is turning toward its partner. Another neutron star is slowing its spin. Another moment of merging is preparing to send out its truth. And here, on a small planet wrapped in air and thought, we will be ready. We will wait with quiet hearts and careful instruments. We will hold space for the message. And when the wave comes, not as thunder, but as a breath, we will listen. We will remember that the universe sings in many voices: light, heat, motion, gravity, and that one of its most sacred songs is the one that cannot be heard, only felt. It is the song that bends the stars. It is the story of everything moving softly forever, toward one another. There is a place in the universe where time begins to lose its shape, a place where moments no longer follow one another like beads on a string. It is not a location you could point to in the sky, nor a destination any ship could reach. It is a boundary, a threshold, a hush, the event horizon of a black hole, and beyond it lies a silence that science can describe but never quite enter. A silence not made of absence but of mystery, the edge of time itself. Imagine standing at the edge of such a place where gravity becomes so strong that even light cannot climb free. This is the event horizon, the final frontier between what can be known and what lies hidden forever. Nothing that passes this invisible line can return, no message, no memory, no meaning that we can retrieve, and yet this edge is not a wall. It is not a thing you could touch. It is a curve in the fabric of reality, a softness where the rules begin to shift. For something to fall into a black hole is to fall forever. From the outside, we would never quite see it disappear. Instead, we would watch it slow, dim, stretch, until time itself seems to pause. The closer it gets, the slower it moves, as if the black hole is not devouring the object but freezing it in place just out of reach. But this is only our perception. Inside the boundary, time continues, but in ways we can't follow. And this is where the silence begins. Not just the absence of light, but the absence of sequence. The future, the past, the now, all become strange near a black hole. Einstein showed us that gravity bends time, but near the event horizon, gravity doesn't just bend it, it wraps it, twists it, slows it down until the familiar rhythm of seconds and minutes is replaced by something else, something soft, quiet, and unknowable. We've known about black holes for decades, but each new discovery brings deeper questions. What truly lies at their core? Is there a singularity, a point of infinite density where physics breaks down? Or is that idea just a placeholder for something more subtle, more hidden? Some scientists wonder if singularities don't really exist, that instead something softer forms inside, something we don't yet have the language to describe. Others imagine bridges, tunnels through space-time called wormholes. If these exist, could they lead to other places, other times? These are not fantasies, but real questions in theoretical physics. And while we do not have answers, we do have the questions, and that is where wonder lives. The silence at the edge of time is full of possibilities. It reminds us that not everything needs to be solved to be sacred. Some things are worth simply approaching slowly, like a stone warmed by the sun. We can stand near and feel its presence. We can circle it in thought, but we do not need to break it open to know that it matters. Perhaps the strangest idea of all is that black holes are not only endings, but beginnings. That when something falls into one, a star, a planet, a whisper of dust, it does not vanish, but becomes part of a new structure, a new truth. That somehow the information about what fell in is not lost, but encoded on the surface like a secret folded into the edge. This is called the holographic principle. It suggests that everything inside the black hole might be recorded on the horizon itself, as if the outer skin holds the memory of everything it has swallowed. Like a story written not in ink, but in gravity. A message too deep to read, but still present. It's as if the universe, even at its most mysterious, refuses to forget. And so we return to the silence. Not the silence of nothing, but of knowing just enough to be amazed. The event horizon is not a place of death. It is a place of pause, of suspension, a point where the language of space gives way to poetry, where equations meet metaphor, where time, that most faithful companion, slows down and looks back before continuing on without us. Standing at the edge of a black hole is not like standing on a cliff. It is more like reaching the shore of a dark ocean and realizing the waves no longer follow rules. They do not crash, they do not roll, they simply fall inward into a depth we cannot sound. And yet the horizon glows faintly, not with light but with temperature, the warmth predicted by Stephen Hawking, a whisper of heat called Hawking radiation. This radiation means that black holes are not completely silent. They leak very, very slowly. Over time they shrink, they evaporate, and eventually they may vanish, leaving behind what? We don't know. A trace, a ghost, a ripple in time, and this is perhaps the most poetic truth of all, that even the quietest things change. that even the blackest places radiate, that even the edge of time is alive with motion. So we gaze from afar, with instruments that sense X-rays, gamma rays, gravitational waves. We piece together what little light escapes from the edges, from the disks of swirling gas that orbit just outside the fall. And with every signal we catch, we glimpse a little more of the silence. A silence that, even as it hides, continues to shape us, to shape galaxies, to shape time. We live far from any black hole, safe in the arms of a modest star. But we are touched by their pull nonetheless. They hold galaxies in place, they stir the stars. They remind us that the universe is not only made of matter, but of mystery. That not all things can be seen, and yet they are still real, still shaping everything. The silence at the edge of time is not the end of the story. It is a page we cannot yet turn. But we sit with it. We rest beside it. And in doing so, we learn something soft and profound. That even in the places where nothing returns, meaning still waits. Let's drift deeper now, toward the quiet centre of that silence, where the known world slips gently into the unknown. From the outside, a black hole is simple. It has only a few qualities: mass, spin, electric charge, and it offers no clue about what lies within. It does not shimmer, it does not glow, offers only gravity, only pull, only the still curve of space-time bent so far inward that even light cannot climb out. But the deeper we look into this simplicity, the more we find that it is anything but empty. Surrounding a black hole just outside the event horizon lies a chaotic ring of matter, dust, gas, sometimes even stars, all caught in the grip of gravity so intense it begins to glow with invisible fire. These accretion disks swirl at nearly the speed of light, heating up through friction, compressing under pressure, shining in X-rays that pierce the darkness. They are the last signs of light before the fall, and they are beautiful in their frenzy, glowing halos around something perfectly still. It's here that time begins to warp most dramatically. As matter spirals inward, the seconds stretch. A clock falling toward a black hole would seem to slow to anyone watching from afar. If you stood close to the horizon to us, without falling in, time for you would pass more slowly than for someone far away. In theory, if you lingered near the edge long enough and returned, the world you left behind would have aged decades, centuries. Black holes are not just objects, they are time machines in a sense, not for travellers, but for clocks. This is not fiction. It is relativity, a truth proven again and again. Time does not tick the same in all places. It stretches in valleys of gravity, and nowhere is gravity deeper than at the mouth of a black hole. Inside the event horizon, the rules of physics begin to blur. No path leads outward. All motion, all direction, all possibility points inward. The singularity, if it exists, is not just a place, but a moment where density becomes infinite. A place where all equations break, where space and time fold into something we can only begin to imagine. Some physicists believe that the singularity might be replaced by something else, a quantum bounce, a region of curved geometry, a knot of information. They wonder if the collapse doesn't end in a point, but leads elsewhere, into a new realm, perhaps even a new universe. These are questions of quantum gravity, of theories yet unfinished, but they stir something in us, a longing to understand not just what is out there, but what it means to vanish. And yet the greatest paradox may lie not inside the black hole, but on its surface. According to classical physics, anything that falls into a black hole is gone forever, the details erased. But this contradicts quantum theory, which insists that information can never truly be lost. This tension between what goes in and what comes out is known as the information paradox. To resolve it, some have suggested that black holes are not erasers, but libraries. That the information about every particle that falls in is somehow stored on the event horizon itself, encoded in tiny vibrations, woven into the fabric of the boundary. This leads to the holographic principle, the idea that everything inside can be described by the surface. That three-dimensional reality may, at its most fundamental level, arise from two-dimensional patterns. It's a radical thought, but one gaining ground. It means the silence at the edge of time may be singing in a language too fine for us to hear, a language written not in sound or light, but in gravity and heat, in entropy and spin. And the more we study, the more we find that black holes are not just the end of things, they may be the keys to everything. Think now of the Event Horizon Telescope, a planet-sized array of radio telescopes working in unison. In 2019, it gave us the first image of a black hole's shadow, a glowing ring around a centre of perfect dark. It was not a photograph in the traditional sense, but a reconstruction, a portrait built from scattered light. Still, it was enough to make us weep. For in that ring we saw something we'd only dreamed of, proof that black holes are real, not just equations. And in 2022, we saw another, the one at the centre of our own Milky Way, Sagittarius A, this one smaller, flickering, constantly shifting. But again the ring appeared, again the silence became visible, and the questions deepened. What lies within that shadow? What happens to a star as it collapses? Does it shred into strings? Does it ripple into loops of energy? Or does it pass through quietly into some hidden chamber of the universe? We do not know, and perhaps we never will. But in the not knowing there is a beauty, a reminder that the universe does not owe us answers, it offers only wonder. And sometimes wonder is enough. So we sit again at the edge, not with fear but with reverence. The black hole does not call to us. It does not reach out. It simply is. Unmoving, unchanging, eternal for now. But it teaches us nonetheless. It teaches that even the darkest places are full of meaning, that even the places we cannot enter still shape the world we know. The silence at the edge of time is not a void. It is a presence, a pause, a curtain we cannot lift. But behind it we imagine, and through that imagining we touch something sacred, not just in space but in ourselves. Because we too live with edges, with limits, with unknowns, and like the black hole we carry within us mysteries that cannot always be explained. But that does not make them any less real. Let us return one last time to the quiet that lives beyond the horizon, the silence at the edge of time. We've circled it gently, like the light that bends just outside its reach, drawn closer with every thought, every question, every whisper of curiosity. Now we drift beside it, not to explain it away, but to feel its presence more fully, to rest in its stillness and allow it to shape the way we see. What is a black hole truly, if not a pause in the music of the universe? A soft place where time no longer moves as we expect, where the rules written in stars begin to unravel line by line, not in violence but in surrender. For here, the clock does not tick forward. It slows, then slips. It curls into a question mark. And yet even this is not chaos. It is form, a deeper kind of order, one we have not yet learned to read. From the outside, black holes seem so final, so certain, as if they are cosmic endings. But what if they are transitions instead? Not a stopping, but a folding. Not a death, but a doorway. Some physicists have wondered if what falls into a black hole is not lost, but transformed, not scattered, but preserved in ways we do not yet understand. They imagine the horizon as a kind of veil, behind which space reshapes itself into something new. These ideas live not just in mathematics, but in metaphor, and the boundary between the two is thinner than we think. We use words like singularity and horizon, not because they are complete, but because they help us stand near the mystery without turning away. They are bridges built from language, from image, from the quiet yearning to know what lies beyond. There are new theories too, ideas that black holes may be filled not with infinite points, but with loops, with strings, with the raw stuff of quantum gravity. That perhaps they are not empty, but rich with geometry. That their cores are not singularities, but seeds of something we haven't named. Some suggest they are the birthplaces of baby universes, tiny hidden realms that bloom beyond the veil, invisible to ours, yet born from it. We don't know, and maybe we're not meant to. Some questions are not problems to be solved, but mysteries to be honoured. And in the silence at the edge of time, that distinction becomes clear. We are not here to conquer the dark, we are here to sit beside it, to listen. That silence teaches us in other ways too. It reminds us that even the most powerful forces do not shout, that the most profound changes are often unseen, that what draws galaxies into motion, what sculpts the dance of light and mass, can live entirely in shadow. And so we imagine, slowly, gently, what it might feel like to approach the event horizon, to hover just outside the fall. Time would slow. The sky behind us would rush forward, stars stretching into streaks. Colour would fade, sound would vanish, all of motion would become soft. And in that stillness, perhaps, there would be peace. Not fear, not ending, but release. The letting go of one kind of times and the beginning of another. Black holes are not against the universe. They are part of its rhythm. They are its resting notes, its full stops, its deep breaths. The pauses between phrases where silence gives shape to sound. Without them, the melody would never resolve. Without them, the structure would be incomplete. And though they are far, they are not separate. The black hole at the centre of our galaxy, Sagittarius A, holds our stars in orbit. It anchors the Milky Way like a calm centre in a swirling storm. We do not see it, but we feel its presence in every motion of our sky. We owe it our place, our shape, our rhythm. To live in this universe is to live with black holes, to live with silence, with mystery, with edges we cannot cross, but also with wonder, because even the darkest parts of the cosmos glow with questions. They invite us not to solve, but to stay, to keep watching, to keep imagining, to walk along the boundary between the known and the unknown and find beauty there. In time, more will be revealed. We will build better instruments. We will catch fainter signals. We will write new equations. But even then, the silence will remain, not as a failure of knowledge, but as a gift. A reminder that the universe is not ours to possess. It is ours to witness. And perhaps that is enough. The silence at the edge of time is not empty. It is full of secrets, a presence, a possibility. It is the breath before the next word, the hush before the next wave. It is where the story pauses, not because it is over, but because it is becoming something new. And we, sitting here with open minds and quiet hearts, are part of that becoming. We are not beyond the horizon, but we are close enough to listen. And that is where wonder begins. There is a pull that lives in everything. A quiet reaching, a silent embrace. It is not loud or bright. It doesn't shout like thunder or blaze like fire. It simply is, constant, invisible, always present. This is gravity, the softest of the forces, and yet the one that holds the universe together. Without it, nothing would cling, nothing would orbit, nothing would rise or fall or stay. We live our whole lives beneath its touch. From the moment we first stand, pulled gently downward to the earth, to the way our hearts stay cradled in our chests, we are shaped by it. We forget it most days. We take its presence for granted. But every step we take, every star that shines, every planet that spins, all of it flows in gravity's quiet current. It was Isaac Newton, centuries ago, who first imagined it clearly, an unseen thread connecting apples to trees, moons to planets, worlds to the sun. He called it a universal law, a force that pulls any two masses toward each other. The bigger they are, the stronger the pull. The closer they are, the tighter the thread. But Newton could not say why. He gave us the rule, but not the reason. Then came Einstein, who taught us to look deeper, to stop thinking of gravity as a force at all, but as a curve in space and time. Imagine a heavy ball on a soft sheet. The sheet dips. Now imagine a smaller ball rolling nearby. It spirals inward, not because the heavy ball pulls it, but because the sheet curves around it. This is gravity in Einstein's world. Not a pulling, but a bending. Mass tells space how to curve. Space tells mass how to move. It's a strange, beautiful idea that we are all living on a vast fabric, not flat, but rippling and dipping around every planet, every star, every cell. When you jump, it isn't the Earth that pulls you down. It's space itself, shaped by Earth's presence, guiding you back. You are not being grabbed. You are following a curve, and so is everything else. The moon does not fall to Earth because it is dragged. It circles because the space around Earth curves just right to keep it in motion. The planets do the same around the sun. Comets loop through long, slow arcs, tracing invisible valleys in the shape of the solar system. And far beyond, stars move through the spiral arms of galaxies, following the immense bending of space made by dark matter and black holes. Even light, though weightless, cannot escape gravity's reach. It too follows the curves. When it passes near a star or a galaxy, it bends. Not because it is pulled, but because the space it travels through is tilted, warped. We see this in gravitational lensing, or where distant galaxies appear stretched, doubled, ringed around invisible masses. Light is trying to move straight, but the straight path has curved. And here we see gravity's true nature, not as a force that pushes or pulls, but as a quiet sculptor of paths. It doesn't move things with its hands, it simply changes the shape of the floor beneath their feet. This bending, this shaping happens everywhere, not just on the scale of galaxies, but within your body. Gravity keeps blood flowing downward, keeps oceans pressed to earth, keeps clouds low and winds in motion. It shapes your spine, your bones, your breath. It affects how we grow, how we move, how we age. Astronauts who live in orbit for long months experience this truth in reverse. Free from Earth's pull, their muscles weaken, their bones thin, their hearts shift position, even their faces puff slightly, with blood no longer drawn downward. Gravity, it turns out, is not just a background. It is a part of our design, and yet despite its power, it remains the weakest of all the forces. A magnet can lift a paperclip against the pull of an entire planet. The tiny repulsion between two electrons overwhelms their gravitational attraction, and yet gravity reigns over distance. Unlike the strong nuclear force, which lives only inside atoms, or the electromagnetic force, which can cancel itself out, gravity has no opposite, no repulsion, only attraction. It accumulates, it builds, it extends across galaxies, it connects everything. Perhaps that's why it feels poetic. Gravity is not about resistance, it's about togetherness, about drawing things near. It is not impatient, it does not hurry, it waits, it lingers, it holds, and it's everywhere. Right now your body is being pulled not only by the Earth, but by the moon, the sun, the planets, even distant stars. These pulls are tiny, yes, but they are real. They shape the tides, they shift tectonic plates. They influence the orbits of comets, the flight of spacecraft, the paths of galaxies drifting through cosmic time. When we launch probes into space, we borrow gravity's help. We swing them past planets, stealing speed from their orbits, using curves to climb. We call it a gravity assist, but it is really a dance. A moment when two bodies share momentum, trade energy, and move on. It is always about relationship, mass and point, presence and a path. Gravity is quiet, but it is not indifferent. It connects, it cradles, it balances, and it whispers something true, something gentle, something eternal. You are not alone, not in the universe, not in motion, not in time. There is always a pull, a link, a presence, seen or unseen, shaping your steps. This is the gravity between us, and it holds more than just stars. Let us move deeper into the invisible threads that hold everything close. The quiet bonds of gravity that shape not only stars and planets, but also the stories we tell, the way we touch, the way we stay. For gravity is not just a cosmic principle, It is a soft reminder that everything that exists leans gently toward everything else. No matter how far, no matter how slow, there is always motion, always attraction, always something pulling inward. Think of the Earth and the Moon. Their dance is old, older than life itself. The Moon circles us, not in a perfect circle, but in a long, shifting ellipse. The same side always faces us, not by chance, but because of gravity's long patience. Over eons, it pulled on the Moon's shape, slowed its spin until the rotation matched its orbit. A gentle locking, a gravitational embrace. Even now, the Moon tugs on our oceans, pulling them into tides, and we respond not with noise, but with movement. The sea itself rises to meet the Moon. This connection is not dramatic. It is steady, persistent. It shapes coastlines. It guides migrations. It gives rhythm to life. The sun, too, holds us close. Its gravity extends far beyond the warmth of its light. It binds the planets in their orbits, wraps comets into long returns, and holds the entire solar system in a slow spiral through the galaxy. We are not still. We are moving more. All of us. The galaxy's centre. One orbit takes about 230 million years. We have made that journey only a few times since Earth was born. And yet through all this motion, gravity never forgets. It keeps the balance. It remembers the mass of every object, the momentum of every orbit. It bends the path of every photon that passes near. It even slows time itself, ever so slightly. The closer you are to mass, the slower your time flows. This is not science fiction. This is the truth of the universe. It means that on a mountain, time ticks faster than at sea level. That a clock in orbit runs just a little quicker than one on the ground. Our satellites must account for this difference, or their signals would drift and our navigation systems would fail. GPS works not because we fight gravity, but because we understand how it bends not just space but time. And that time, that gentle folding, is perhaps the most mysterious part of all. Gravity doesn't just hold things in place, it weaves the flow of moments. It shapes when as much as where. This is why we speak of space-time, not space and time separately. They are threads of the same cloth, pulled together by every mass, every planet, every breath. Now think of black holes again. Think of the way gravity becomes absolute there. Not in anger, but in totality. Nothing escapes, nothing returns. Yet even here the pull is not cruel. It is consistent, it is quiet, it is the natural curve of space-time taken to its furthest edge. And the horizon that forms, the event horizon, is not a wall. It is simply a boundary where the inward path becomes the only path. Not because something breaks, but because the map changes. We see these curves reflected in galaxies, spiral arms stretching like cosmic whirlpools, shaped by the invisible gravity of stars and dark matter. There is more gravity than light can account for. We call it dark matter, not because we understand it, but because we know it must be there. Something unseen is pulling, something unlit is holding galaxies together, preventing them from flying apart. And so we see, gravity reveals what cannot be seen. It points to presence, not appearance. It tells us there is more mass, more connection, more mystery. Even the early universe, before stars, before planets, was shaped by gravity. Tiny differences in density and temperature slowly pulled matter into clumps, then filaments, then galaxies. Gravity built at the structure. It did not build fast, it did not rush, it pulled slowly, gently, over billions of years, shaping the web of everything. That same gravity, the same pull that created clusters of galaxies, also holds your feet to the ground. The same curve that guides starlight also guides your fall. There is no division, no separation between cosmic and human, between galaxy and gesture. It is all one field, one fabric, bent slightly more in some places, slightly less in others, but always connected. And perhaps that is the soft truth gravity teaches us, that to exist is to be drawn toward, that nothing truly stands alone. Even the most distant stars are not drifting in isolation. They are part of a web, a quiet lattice of curves and arcs and flows. You are part of it too. Right now you're being pulled not only downward, but outward. You're circling with the Earth around the sun around the galaxy toward the great attractor, a region of space so massive its gravity bends the motion of hundreds of galaxies toward it. You do not feel this motion, but it is real. You're always moving, always being pulled. And just as gravity curves space, so too it curves our relationships, not in a scientific sense, but in spirit. There is gravity between people, not measured in mass or meters, but in care, in memory, in belonging. We are drawn toward each other. We orbit one another's stories. We bend the paths of those we love. There is gravity between parent and child, between friends, between strangers who pause in the same quiet place. It is not seen, but it holds. So perhaps when we speak of gravity, we are speaking of more than motion. Perhaps we are speaking of connection, of patience, of staying near, of returning. Because gravity, at its heart, is the universe's way of saying you matter, you belong, you are part of everything else. Now let us move slowly toward the soft ending of this story. A final quiet turn through the invisible force that holds galaxies, oceans and hearts alike. Gravity has guided us gently from the dance of black holes to the tides of the earth, from the quiet fall of light to the silent shaping of time. And here at the end, it offers us one last truth, that everything, no matter how far apart it seems, is still connected, always, patiently, without words. In the far reaches of the cosmos, gravity still sculpts the shape of everything. Galaxies stretch into long filaments drawn together across emptiness like threads in a vast unfolding web. These structures are not made by hands. They are not held by walls. They are formed by pull, the slow reaching of mass for mass, matter for matter. No command, no chaos, only presence and time. The great attractor pulls clusters of galaxies toward it. Its shape cannot be seen, only felt. Its power is not light but gravity. And we follow, not because we choose to, but because everything moves towards something else. Always. Even on Earth, the pull never ends. Mountains rise and fall, pushed slowly by the pressure of plates moving in response to the weight of oceans, the shifting of land. Gravity pulls water down, but it also shapes how roots grow, how rivers flow, how trees stretch skyward against its touch. Seeds fall, rain sinks, snow drapes gently across hills, all of it guided by gravity's gentle hand. Birds fly not by escaping gravity, but by working with it. Their wings fold and curve in patterns that ride the air, lift them into balance, not defiance. When they glide, they move with the Earth's pull, not against it. And when they return to land, it is gravity that welcomes them back. Even our sleep is shaped by it. Our dreams unfold in bodies that lie cradled by gravity's quiet presence. The way we rest, the way we breathe, the way our blood settles, all are part of the gravity between us and the planet beneath. And when we leave this world, when astronauts float in the stillness of orbit, their bodies remember gravity's absence. Muscles soften, hearts shift, senses change. Their bones forget the weight they once carried, but when they return, gravity welcomes them back into rhythm, into structure, into the old embrace that never left. We often speak of gravity as a scientific thing, a law, a measurement, but it is also something more. It is a feeling, not of emotion, but of presence, of being held, of being known. It is in the way a person leans towards someone they love, in the way we sit close, in the way our feet always find the ground. Even grief carries gravity. It is the feeling of something missing, someone who once pulled us into orbit, now gone, but whose presence still curves our path. And so gravity becomes a kind of memory, not of the past, but of connection. It tells us, this mattered, this still matters. You are still moving in the shape of what was once near, still circling the empty space with quiet devotion. The universe itself moves this way, not in chaos, but in continuation. Black holes, planets, stars, all of them following arcs shaped by old meetings, ancient bonds, motions begun billions of years ago and still unfolding. Gravity remembers, not with thoughts but with paths. And maybe that's all any of us are. Curved paths shaped by the presence of others, moving gently through time, held not by strings but by invisible forces of care, of memory, of meaning. We are not floating freely, we are tethered, and in that tether is peace. So let us return one last time to where we began, to the thought that gravity, though invisible, touches everything, not with weight alone, but with belonging, with the knowledge that nothing drifts alone, that everything bends towards something, that the universe, vast, quiet, old, is held together not by walls, but by a force that whispers, "You are not separate. You are part of this. Even across light years you are felt. This is the gravity between us. It does not end with planets. It does not stop at stars. It lives in every step, every orbit, every memory that keeps us near, even when we are far." And so we close this story not with a conclusion, but with a curve, the slow spiraling motion of all things moving toward all things, in time, in silence, in grace. The universe does not fall apart, it falls together.